What do you want to do tonight, boss?
We're doing the same thing what we do every night, Tony.
What's that, boss?
Trying to take over the world.
They're Pinky and the brain.
Finally, with the firmware 032121, we got the fine-tuned dark area setting in Australia as well. But what is this setting supposed to do? According to LG, it should mitigate, that's the right word for it, mitigate the raised near black effects what some users experienced. And again, mitigate is the right word. Okay, before I show you what the fine-tuned dark area setting actually is doing, let's talk about why this was introduced. And just correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section, but I think we're talking about three things. We're talking about the VRR flickering issue, which I experienced on my TV. And again, with the latest firmware Series V2121, it's almost gone. It's not completely gone, almost gone, okay, on my TV. So then we're talking about VRR black level erased, which I never experienced, but according to a couple of people, as soon they're activating VRR on the PC or on the console, they will have a raised black level. Regardless on HDR, regardless on SDR, it will just raise the black level and they have to lower the brightness. Okay, and third, or yeah, last but not least, we have, and I experienced this as well, raised black levels in HDR content. And a very good example, or very worse example, is actually Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Because as soon you activate HDR in this game, you have a complete wrong black level. There's no perfect OLED black anymore. You have to decrease the brightness, I think, to 48 to get the perfect OLED black level back. But you lose, of course, then couple of details in the gray area. So I think those are the three things we're talking about, and now I'm going to show you what this option is actually doing. Okay, so let's start with our first test pattern, and we're using a reference white test pattern. I know why you're asking yourself why we're using white when we're talking about the fine-tuning dark areas. I found a couple of very interesting things when I started testing. So let's have a look on this test pattern. We have flashing bars up to 253. Very hard to see here, but still flashing, okay? So let me show you a thing. If you now, let's say, using contrast at 100 in SDR, we're talking about SDR, okay? So you will lose a couple of flashing bars. So that's why it's very important to have the right contrast setting in SDR as well. So 85 is actually not a bad value. So the same happens when you increase brightness like crazy, because we need to think about our brightness level as well, or we can compare it to the gamma curve. Okay, what we're doing with the brightness level, we will just raise this gamma curve like crazy, and at the end it's more like a line and not like a curve anymore. Okay, something like that. So that's what we're doing with the brightness. And at some point, of course, if we're increasing the brightness too much, we don't have this anymore. We will have actually this, okay? So something like that. So the brightest parts then, let's say 70% grayscale, and up to 100% it's suddenly the same brightness. That's why we don't have any flashing bars anymore. So that's why right brightness setting, of course, is actually very important. So, but what I found now, and this is what makes me a little bit, yeah, what I don't understand. So I was in the impression that this fine-tuned dark area setting is really just changing the near black gamma, but this is not the case. So right now 253 is very minor flickering, flashing. So if I start changing this and I'm moving this up to, I can already see it, I lost a couple of bars. So let's just move this up to 30 to show you this. So at the moment I have maybe flashing bar 246, that's the last one. Maybe very minor 247, but 246 I can easily spot. So I lost those bars, the flashing bars, the details in this brightness setting or contrast or whatever you call this, in this gamma actually. So it's not a big deal, because usually you're never going to use this setting with plus 30, never, because then something is terribly wrong, okay? But this actually proves a point that LG in this setting is not just changing the fine tune area or the dark area gamma, it's changing the whole gamma curve, okay? Which, in my opinion, is probably not a good idea. Okay, so now let's talk about the reference black test pattern, and I'm sitting behind my camera to show you a couple of things. So, and before we start, look at my brightness settings. I have to increase this brightness actually to 75 around to show you what is going on my screen, because right now what I can see with my eyes is flashing pattern until the number 17, which is absolutely correct. Everything below 16 should not have any flashing bars. But unfortunately, you can't see anything on my camera. That's why I have to increase this to fake it a little bit. So, but again, this is not correct, of course, the settings. And I can already read the comments. But again, this is not correct. I have to do this to show you actually flashing bars on the screen. And I hope you can see it. So I will just leave it 75. Okay, so again, keep in mind, this is not the right setting, 75. Okay, so, but what is fine-tune dark area now doing? Okay, let me explain this test pattern again. So 16 is reference black, everything below here should be perfect OLED black, okay? So right now I am not sure again what you see. I hope you don't see anything below 16 flashing. If so, this is because of my wrong brightness setting, okay? It's not supposed to be. Anyway, you should see actually a very nice dark OLED screen here, hopefully, okay? So let me start again with just cranking up brightness as crazy. So we are assuming right now we have perfect OLED black and we have our brightness setting is 50. So what is happening actually when we increase our setting from 50 to 51, we have already not the perfect OLED black anymore. So even if it's very hard to see in a normal dimmed room, but there is already not the perfect OLED black anymore. So if I'm cranking this up like crazy, I mean, you can see now on the camera what is happening. So now we have to understand that this new gamma settings, or what I like to call it, it's not doing the same as a brightness setting, not quite the same, okay? So because I was able actually to increase, so let me just change this back to 70. Oh, it's so hard. 75. I like to have 75. So I was able to increase this setting to a certain value without having any raised black level. Let's say it like this, okay? So this fine-tune dark area setting is really just supposed to change the gamma, the near black gamma. This is the intention from LG. So, and as you can see here at the moment with plus 30, you can see a lot of bars flashing. And of course, again, plus 30 will increase the black level on your OLED, full stop, because it's already a ridiculous setting in my opinion. Okay, so let me change this back to minus 30 to just show you that we have almost no bars flashing anymore. So, and again, up to a certain value, and this depends on the game, depends on the movie or whatever, it can be that you don't have any raised black. So I'm not sure what you can see on the screen, but there shouldn't be almost no flashing bars anymore, okay? So very, very minor. So this is minus 30. Again, absolute ridiculous setting. No one will ever use it, or you shouldn't use it like this at all, okay? So let me put this back. So again, this setting is not the same, I'm sorry for this, is not the same like the brightness setting on your OLED TV. Again, with brightness setting 51, you have already an increased black level, okay? So let's get this back. I'm very sure you can't see anything. So if I'm now, let me try this, maybe I can show you this. If I'm now increasing this like crazy to 30, and I can easily spot it everything. So I have now, where's my cursor? Till here I have flashing bars. I can see it. I'm not sure what you can see, but here is still perfect OLED black. Still, there's no increasement in terms of brightness whatsoever. Okay, so I hope my explanation makes a little bit sense. And yeah, again, I like to just resume on this. So this fine-tune dark area setting is in my opinion just here for changing the near black gamma. That's what LG is telling us, and it's working okay with this test pattern, okay, because this test pattern is fine. The test pattern knows what to do, and it will display exactly what it's supposed to do. So that's why I'm not having any increased black, or I'm not losing any of this perfect OLED black, even I'm putting this to plus 30. So what I will end up, of course, I will end up with a complete wrong gamma, and I will do testing and measurements later on. I'm just running out of time because I like to see actually how the gamma curve is changing through the whole grayscale. So this is really just supposed to change the gamma level, and I know you can't see anything, but I can still see, even with this all light on, I can see here now 18 is flashing, and in the dark there's still 17 flashing. This is perfect settings on my OLED TV, okay? So there's no problem in terms of the near black with this setting. I'm a little bit concerned why it is changing the white picture as well, or in a very close to the whitest point in the grayscale, maybe 90-95%. I will do testing on this as well later on. But again, this is just happening with plus 30, you know, and no way you should use this because you destroy the whole picture. The whole appearance is gone. So now the question is, after we know what this setting is actually doing, can we use it for one of our problems what we're having in terms of these VRR issues? Okay, so let's start talking about the VRR flickering issue on the LG CX OLED TVs, or in general the OLED TVs from LG. So back then when I did my first video, I think first or whatever video about this issue, flickering issue in VRR, one of my user or subscriber told me I should test this game. Tell me why on the Xbox Series X, sorry, X, it's a X, not a X. Okay, Xbox Series X. So, and of course I downloaded this game and I saw flickering in the main menu like hell. Just check out my old video. You can easily spot it in this video. After the firmware update 03.21.21, there is no flickering anymore, not at all. And of course, I did a lot of more testing, and I'm so sorry that this video will be a little bit longer, but I have to say this again. I found there's no issue anymore in flickering. I said, hey, maybe they updated the game or something like that. So I, of course, checked a couple of other games like Gears of War 5. Also no issue anymore. I said, okay, maybe they did something to the Xbox. So I tested VRR games on the PC, and I had a very good example back then. Divinity 2 Original Sin, Divinity 2, yeah, the role-playing game, okay, you know what I'm talking about. On my LCD screen, on my VA panel, on my gaming monitor, it is flickering like hell during loading sequences. Really not just like a little bit, it is crazy. So, and I saw this before the new update, or not before the new firmware, also on the LG CX. After the update 03.21.21, again, there was no flickering at all anymore in the loading screen. And I did a video about this and I can prove it, okay? So what I'm trying to tell you here is, I'm a very bad example for this, because my TV after this update is working almost without any issue. Don't say anything, you never know what's happening with the next update. But so we need to understand that some YouTubers saying that this flickering issue is hardware related, and yes, I agree, because if you have a little bit understanding on how this is working, when the the hertz are changing rapidly, the display has to react. So, and of course this is with current, with voltage and so on and so on, and this can happen then that the actually screen starts to flicker. But it looks like that LG found also a solution with the software to, maybe to find a sweet spot how to react when certain things happening on the screen. So because again, after the firmware update, it is almost gone. Nothing here in the main screen anymore from Tell Me Why, but still visible in the game. Okay, and I'm very sorry that I'm talking so much, but I have to explain a lot, okay? So right now we are in 120 Hertz mode because it is almost not visible in the 60 Hertz mode. And right now, what I have done to show you actually what is happening on the screen. I increased my brightness again, because otherwise you will not see anything in this corner, believe me. So what happened now is, I'm very sure you can see a little bit flickering, because the camera is much better than the eye actually in this very tiny flickering. There is flickering, I know it, because I watched the footage already, okay? So when I recorded this in the first place. So if I'm now reducing this to 50, which is the original or the correct setting, you will have very hard time to see anything. But I can now easily spot the flickering, and this is happening all the time. So it's here when this 5.5 goes down to 0.9 or whatever. So this means it's actually a very big drop in terms of hertz or frequency, or not frequency, in frame rate. Okay. So and then you can actually clearly see this flickering is happening, but again much minor or much less before the latest update. So the reason why I can't easily spot it with settings to 75, and now I have really trouble to explain this with my broken English here. So again, I'm very sure you can spot it in the camera as well. The flickering, I still have a hard time to see it now. So the thing is now, because I increased the brightness, the flickering is just happening in a certain level of brightness. You know what I mean? So it can't reach I don't know, 50 candela or whatever. It's really just very minor. Okay. So, and because I increased my brightness, I'm already, let's say I have a level where it's flickering like this here, and now I increased my brightness to here. So it's just flickering here. So, but I'm much brighter already with the picture, though there's nothing to show anymore, okay? So I hope you get my point, what I'm trying to tell you at this very moment. So if I would increase my brightness to 100%, it's probably even gone for the camera, okay? So it's not the point, of course. So what I like to show you now is, or what I like to explain it to you, why this setting, the new settings, defined dark area tune setting, has no impact at all in terms of flickering, is very easy in my opinion. So this is a normal bright game. There is nothing dark at all. Okay, it's not very bright, but it's a normal environment where this game is playing. And at this very moment, I can easily spot this flickering here in this whole area. So why I can spot this? Because we're still talking about darker gray areas. Okay, so not near black, but it's still darker. Okay, it's not white. So that's why you have this issue. So I'm very sure when we have a very dark spot and we have just, you know, minor dark grayscale to display on the screen, this will flicker like crazy. This game is really, really crazy. So, but still we can see it. So now if you think you can change this with minor settings here, then you're absolutely wrong, because all what you're doing actually is changing the low or the near black gamma here with this setting, nothing else. So the brightness here has not changed at all, or maybe so tiny that you can't even see it. But there's still a flickering. Why? Because we haven't changed this brightness at all. All what we have done is the near black, we raised it up, but the rest is still the same brightness, okay? So and if the flickering is happening here, then it doesn't matter what you change on the lower end, it will not affect this one, and this is happening here at the moment. So, but now when we have a game, let's say like Gears of War 5, which plays in a very dark environment sometimes, and you experience this flickering, this near gamma flickering, near low black and gamma, whatever you call this, okay? Then it can help, but this is, again, it depends on the game. It's not said that it will eliminate or get rid of this issue completely, because again, if you have your gamma curve, which is this in SDR, okay? So you have this, and it's flickering in the low end. With this setting, you're increasing the brightness. So it can be, when it's flickering here and you increase the brightness, you can't see it anymore because it's flickering here and the brightness is already too bright to show you the flickering, okay? But now let's say it's flickering here on the gamma curve and you increase just this brightness here, you will still see it, okay? That's my whole point. So I would not use this setting at all to try to compensate or to mitigate or eliminate VRR flickering. So first of all, because it will probably not work at all. Just in one scene. You have one scene, you change the setting and you're happy. But as soon you turn around, you have a complete different picture. You have to set it up again. That's what will happen, okay? Okay, anyway, and the next thing is you change and you destroy your whole gamma. You have probably overbrightened gamma in the near dark, or you have too low gamma, and so on and so on and so on. So again, for eliminating, for mitigating VRR flickering, this is not the right option. Okay, but what is this option actually good for? So let's say like this, if we have a game like Assassin's Creed Valhalla and you like to play in HDR, we learned that this is a very good or bad example in terms of HDR implementation when it comes to black level, near black level. So to explain, if you start this game in SDR, you have perfect OLED black with brightness setting 50 on your LGCX. If you start this game in HDR, you have not at all perfect OLED black. All what you get actually is a gray reddish tone, you know, and you have to decrease the brightness, I think it was to 48 to get the perfect OLED black back. But again, we learned when we're increasing or decreasing the brightness, we're doing this over the whole grayscale. Okay, so we can actually already lose some details in the brighter area, or we're losing details in the darker areas. So changing the brightness level is never a good idea in my opinion. So in case like this, it can be helpful. I haven't done a proper testing in terms of this setting and Assassin's Creed, but I will do this in a separate video because otherwise this video will just too be long. Or too be long, is this correct? Too long, let's say like this. But again, this can help. If this is really just touching, and the test will show it, and then I know actually a little bit about Assassin's Creed Valhalla, about the black level. If this is doing what I'm thinking it should do, then this can help with the problem. In terms we just increasing this level to, I don't know, because I haven't tested it yet. I hope not to -30, because then we have other problems. But this can actually really help him, because we really just changing the gamma level to a certain level and we're getting our perfect OLED black back. And I hope we're not losing any details. So I will do a proper comparison video with this setting and Assassin's Creed, because I'm very curious about this. But this can be one of the options. As soon we're experiencing a too low black or a raised black, with this option we can actually change it. But I have to say also something. And again, 75 to show you what is going on the screen, okay? Don't put it in a comment. I know this is not correct settings. When we're talking about this setting, fine-tune dark area, this is nothing else, and it is of course not in HDR. I don't have the gamma settings, of course, in HDR here. This is nothing else as the gamma settings in SDR. You know, you can choose between 1.9, 2.2, 2.4 and BT1886. This is nothing else. So of course it's a little bit different, because what you do with the gamma settings, you change the whole gamma curve a little bit, but mainly the difference between those gamma curves is in the lower end. Okay, so the brighter end is almost the same. Okay, let's say like this. With this setting, fine-tune dark area setting, of course, you just really changing the near black gamma. But again, I proved it already. It's not just like this. It's also in the whiter area. So this really proves actually that this setting is changing the whole gamma curve at once. And I'm looking forward to do a proper testing. But again, you know, I can't do everything in one video, really. I'm doing a proper testing with Assassin's Creed and the gamma curve, how this option is actually affecting the game and the gamma curve. Okay, we have to come to an end, because this video is already very long. And again, VRR flickering issue and this option, no. Because so first of all, you should never, in my opinion, never go into minus with this option. Because if you go into minus, you lose details. Full stop, you lose details because you're going down with your gamma curve. And all what will happen, and I showed you this, you will lose the bars. And this is your details in the dark areas. So if you lose the details, you can't see anything anymore. So this is not the point to do this, to be honest, just to eliminate a little bit of flickering. The only thing what you can do for testing is actually increase it, because all what you gain is more visibility in darker areas, but also it will be from the contrast, it will be not nice anymore, okay? Because you have very, let's say, very washed out dark objects, okay? It doesn't look good anymore. But anyway, don't go into minus. This is just a recommendation from my end. So in terms of wrong black levels from like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, yes, this can be a helpful option, but I have to test it. I have to fully test it if we're losing some details as well, and so on, because we just need to consider if there's something wrong with the source. In this case, it's the game. It's very hard to compensate this further down in the chain, okay? I hope you get my idea. If something is faulty here, it's no point actually to fix it here. You know what I mean? So, but let's see what I can find out. And we have really to stop here. It's too long already, okay? So I just hope, if you're new to my channel, just subscribe to my channel, do me the favor, and yeah, leave me a comment as well. Leave me a comment what you think about these settings, and I really like to know how you use this setting, if you use this setting, and what is your experience with this setting, okay? Just put it in the comments, okay? And now it's too long, okay? Thank you very much for watching me. Take care, stay safe. I see you next time. Bye.